Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Feel Good Friday. It is Friday the 13th, so a shout out to all those folks in Ontario who are riding their motorcycles to Port Dover today to celebrate Friday the 13th. I hope they have a wonderful day with good weather and lots of safety. It's a great event. Every time there's a Friday the 13th, all these people who drive motorcycles go to this beautiful little spot on Lake Erie called Port Dover in Ontario and have a big gathering. It's fantastic. It's just beautiful. So hope you're having a great day. I am excited to be back, and I'm sorry I missed yesterday's church at home, but back in the saddle. I'm a little bit punch drunk. Cheryl, my Archdeacon, executive Archdeacon, and I just got in last night at about 6:30, and we've been going since 8 o'clock the previous, like a week ago today, in the morning, and we've been not getting a lot of sleep, but a lot of incredible work. One of the things that, the whole week was filled with beauty. And just to give you a synopsis, we had a consecration of a new bishop in the Diocese of Saskatchewan in Prince Albert on Friday evening. And then on Saturday morning, we were up at 5:30 and heading off to the Pas in Manitoba, where we went to a DCAF meeting, which is the Diocesan Council of Aboriginal Affairs, where they greeted us warmly, and we had an incredible conversation with representatives of the Indigenous community in our diocese. And then we went to a beautiful First Nation community called Cormorant, and had 4 confirmations of young people. And the church is really quite tiny. Like, it's not even as big as my office. And on the outside, it looks a little ramshackle. The door's falling off and it needs some work. But on the inside, it's like walking into Little House on the Prairie. It is immaculate, wood everywhere, just absolutely gorgeous. And they decorated it all up, and then we had a feast at the hall. It was incredible. And then on Sunday, we were at Church of the Messiah for Eucharist on OCN, or Pasquale Creation. And then we went down the road to Big Eddy to Church of the Redeemer, also on a Pasquale Creation. It's kind of like having 2 Anglican churches in one town, only these are 2 Anglican churches on one First Nation. And we went down to Redeemer, Church of Redeemer in the afternoon, and we had 7 confirmations, which was amazing. On Monday evening, we were at Moose Lake First Nation, and we had 1 baptism, 1 reaffirmation of baptismal vows. 1 couple asked me if I would, when they were ready, do their wedding, which was incredible. And I had 17 confirmations. And then on Tuesday night, we were in Easterville with all the kids from camp that Cheryl has worked with before, and I have come to love. And we had 11 baptisms, 1 reaffirmation of baptismal vows, 1 invitation for me to celebrate the renewal of vows for a gentleman who said to me, I proposed to my wife and she said yes. They've been married for a lot of years, and they're going to renew their vows and ask me if I would do that. And then we had 32 confirmations. 32 young people came up and said, I want to pledge myself to God, to Christ. The thing about what those things are is that baptism is that moment at which we, as adults or as people that can make decisions for ourselves, or our parents or someone, our godparents, come to us and or come on our behalf and say, I am going to pledge this person into the Christian lifestyle. I'm going to teach them, I'm going to raise them up to be faithful, to pray, all of these things, to believe in Jesus Christ, and then they're baptized. Well, later in life, usually in the teenage years, we all have it in the Anglican Church of Canada, or the Anglican Church, and similar to the Roman Catholic Church and the Lutheran Church, we have a sacrament called confirmation. And it's that exactly that. We're confirming the vows that were made on our behalf. So as an infant, I was baptized. My parents had the parish priest baptize me in my mom's home parish in Durham, Ontario, at Trinity Durham. And then as I got older and was making decisions for myself, I think I was grade 8. I was like 13 years old. I was then confirmed. I went through confirmation classes, and I realized I was ready to say to God, to make those promises that, yes, indeed, I do believe in you, and I am going to make that decision for myself, that I am going to live into these baptismal promises. And so I was confirmed in the Diocese of Niagara at St. Martin's in the Fields in Niagara Falls, Ontario, when I was 13 years old, 1984. It was incredible. For me, it was an incredible experience, and obviously it led somewhere that I didn't anticipate when I was 13. But being able to be present while all these people, a total of 60 confirmations over 4 church services, like, blow me away. This this These young people. Now, some of them we had a little bit of some tension, a little bit of kerfuffle, because lots of these kids, like any time, even with me getting confirmed, there was a bit of, like pull and tease sometimes to get me to go to confirmation classes. But as a priest, even I did preparation classes where kids were like, I'm here because I have to be. Or, they didn't participate the whole time. There was a reluctance. And, I understand that. And we had kids who came out that didn't have confirmation classes. And people asked me, like, okay, so how does that work? They're coming out, they haven't done the confirmation classes. How can you say yes, you're going to confirm them? And the fact is, the way I'm looking at this is, as a person, as a baptized person, as a deacon, as a priest, as a bishop, I am recognizing that if the Holy Spirit moves in someone's life so much that they're willing to come to church on a Tuesday night and get all dressed up because their cookum or their grandmother says you need to dress up for church, and they come and they have the courage to stand in front of someone that they may not know, in front of a whole lot of people when they're really shy and don't like hanging out with a lot of people anyway, and they're willing to stand there and say, I promise to do these things. That's a promise they're making with God. They're not making that promise to me, their bishop. It's a promise they're making with God. And I don't know their heart. I don't know where these young people are. I do know that they're coming from communities quite often. It doesn't have to be First Nation, any community where a young person is coming from. I guarantee you there are drugs in their schools. There are pressures to have sex. There are pressures to nick that chocolate bar, or to compete with the other kids, to do things that as teenagers they shouldn't be doing. There are incredible pressures in the world that our children are faced with. And I look at these kids, and if they have the courage, if they have the sense that for some reason, even if it's, their cookum is saying to them, you have to be confirmed, with their coming forward and saying, I think I'm ready for this, then I'm not going to say no to them. Because it's like getting married. When I married my husband, I was 100% sure I loved him. And I was 100% sure I wanted to get married. And when I walked up that aisle and my father-in-law, who was a priest, started asking the questions, do you, will you, all those things, all of a sudden it was like, how do I know? I was 32. How do I know at 30 or 35? How do I know at 35 years old, 34 years old, however old I was when I got married? Don't tell Rob, I couldn't remember. How do I know at 34 years old that the promises I am making in this moment, when I really believe that I love my husband and I'm over the moon and I'm gaga and starry-eyed and crazy in love, how do I know that 30 years from now I'm still going to feel this way? I don't. And yet I make these promises in trust. I make these promises in faith that God and the circumstances around me and the life that I live and the person I'm committing myself to will work together. So even when it's difficult times and the promises are harder to keep, we'll keep on trying. And the good news is that with God, if you screw up, if you don't keep your promise, God doesn't walk away. It's like, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, we're done. No, God is like, oh dear heavens. Okay, come back. Let's try this again. I'm going to give you another shot. So if a young person comes to me and says, I believe I want to be confirmed, I think I'm ready to be confirmed, I'm going to look at them and think, there's no way you're ready to be confirmed. Mother Teresa wouldn't have been ready to be confirmed. Not really, not in her heart, because if you're absolutely certain, then maybe there's work to do. Because the truth is that when we are confirmed, we are confirming our promises to try, with God's help, to do something that we can't do on our own. And so we had 60 confirmations, 60 young people, some of them a little bit older, came to us and said, I'm ready. I want to walk this journey with Jesus, even if they really didn't understand completely what that says. And the truth is, I don't completely understand what it is to be a bishop, yet here I am. And I think we need to honor that. We need to be able to say that they're willing to walk in faith, to try something, and to trust. And so I had 12 baptisms, 2 renewal of baptismal promises, which is beautiful, 2 requests to do weddings, and 60 confirmations this past week. In addition to a couple of parish visits where we ate incredible meals and had fantastic conversation. A week well deserving of a nap, I think, this weekend. But absolutely a beautiful, beautiful feel good Friday kind of thing. But the biggest thing that makes me feel good is the fact that we gathered in these communities, these far flung communities, with people who don't have resources at hand the way a lot of us do. And yet they gathered en masse with their families and they pledged themselves to say, God, if you're willing to hang out with me, if you're willing to be patient with me and to teach me, I'm willing to learn. And I'm willing to keep coming back even when I screw up. And I'm willing to try. And that's all we can ask. So as you go about your weekend, and you have a great weekend, I hope, please pray for all 60 of those young people who were confirmed, and the 12 who are baptized, and those two who reaffirmed their vows, and the 2 couples who are looking at their lives and saying, we want to continue to pledge to keep ourselves one as husband and wife, as together, that we might do God's work as a couple. Good things are happening in our world. They really, really are. And that's what we need to focus on. Have a great day. God bless you. And I'll see you on Sunday for Gospel on the Go and on Monday for Church at Home with Rachel. God bless.